this is the last week that this is going to happen here on Facebook. If you're watching it during this portion of our show, okay. So we're going to hit a couple things first. We're going to hit the rankings. We're going to I don't know. We're probably going to talk about Jason Garrett.
Oh right, yeah. That was the other thing that I missed on the.
And then JT, can you kind of explain to them what's going to happen here later on in the show so they don't get confused or?
Yeah, so it's already hit a rough start because, as naturally, I forgot to hit the record button on the podcast. So I'll fix that in post. But since we're going to do this live demonstration, we have a third camera angle, which is why we're actually sitting out here because I've been trying to figure out how we're going to do this. But because we know that this isn't particularly going to work for the podcast people, because they're not going to be able to see it. It's probably not going to make a whole bunch of sense as we're talking without actually seeing the live demonstration. We're going to end the podcast early, the recorded version. The live stream will continue after that, so you'll hear us kind of do a sign off, and we'll make it clear that we're still staying on. But just know that we will kind of do somewhat of an outro so that the folks that are listening to the podcast, we can close them out for future recordings, and then we will continue on a different camera angle so we can talk about some defensive back technique, maybe a little bit of receiver technique, what it means to be in phase. He's got the whole rundown there. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be at the end of the show. So we're going to go through as we usually do, and then we'll kind of mix it up here at the end.
Yes. I hope you guys understand that. It's very clear as mud, as they say, to me. But I'm really excited about this because there is a particular play and I put it out on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. A particular play that there's so much to dissect in there, from the left corner to the slot corner or nickel to the free safety, the linebackers. Me and JT started talking about that actually during the game, I believe, on Saturday against Arkansas. And then I saw some other things. I did tweet that out as well about the what happened in the Vikings Green Bay game. So it really solidifies, I think, what we're going to be talking about these techniques and how, as I've been saying, it's pretty complicated and it's very hard on defensive backs in today's age of football. And even Nick Saban was talking about it today. So y'all hang with us on that. Again, if you like real talk football like that, man, it's going to be good because this will be our first time actually trying to demonstrate this for you. I get to show my defensive back skills, okay? But before we get into that, why don't we talk a little bit about these rankings that have come out again? I don't know if there's any surprises, JT, I guess. Maybe it's the way it fell out with Georgia being one still. Oklahoma State going to number 2. Maybe some people think that's
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Bama being at 3. Yes, sir, Clara. We're glad you're here. Man, you're going to like it. It's going to be good. Cincy at 4, Michigan at 5, Notre Dame at 6, Oklahoma State 7, Baylor at 8. As far as I want to go, other than talking about, Oklahoma being 10. Okay. So what happened to Oregon, first of all? Is that Clara's favorite team? Wasn't she always talking about?
No, I think she's a Notre Dame fan.
She's anybody non-SEC, I believe. But they got shellacked, and it's kind of what we expected, though, right? We didn't really think they were going to last all the way through.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had said as soon as they had beaten Ohio State that they were going to lose probably 2 dumb ones. I won't say that the Utah game was a dumb one. How they lost was a dumb one. They shouldn't have been down 31-0 at halftime, but they also shouldn't have lost to Stanford. Stanford is not a very good ball club. But I did say they were going to lose 2. I just didn't know which 2.
So is Utah going to be upset about this? Because they did put a shellacking on them. That run game that they have and the physical style of play, and I know they're amped up for it, but are they disappointed, being 19. I know they've lost 3 games or whatnot, but
No, they shouldn't. I mean, they can't lose to BYU, San Diego State, and Oregon State and call themselves a top 10 team. That's just not how it works.
well, I did pick Utah to win that game on my little side bet that I have with Coach Griffin. I didn't think they were going to whoop up on them like that, but they got up pretty fast on them and just ran off with it. So, I don't know there's a whole lot to say about that. But I think I was more shocked about the Ohio State
Michigan State
game.
Now, I wonder if I can actually pull this up. Now, you'll be able to see it on my screen. But if I can find it, because you remember we had Ed on in a long time ago for Tennessee Hate Week.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see if I can find what Ed had said, because he called Michigan State on Halloween. His message to me was Michigan State and Cincinnati are frauds. And what he was saying was Michigan State, they look good, but they're not actually that good. Wait till they play a real team. He said the same thing about Cincinnati, and then that's when Cincinnati started struggling against everybody. Now, they didn't lose, but they were struggling against Tulane and Navy, I think. Doesn't matter. But that definitely came to fruition when Michigan State went up there and got beat by 49.
49. Something like it. Yeah, I think it ended up being 56-7 or something like that. So, yeah, when I was sitting there watching that before the Bama game a little bit, I was like, man, I can't believe they're up 14-0 that fast. And I didn't know if that meant Ohio State had got that much better or if Michigan State was that much worse or not as good as I thought they were going to be. Because I really wasn't expecting that at all, Tucker's been doing a great job up there at Michigan State, and I just thought he'd have him a little bit more ready to play, considering how he played against Michigan. So I don't know. What does that say about Michigan being up there at number 5 and going toe-to-toe?
I think that Michigan State was just a bad matchup. Michigan State has a very good running game with Kenneth Walker III. And Michigan doesn't – not that they can't throw the ball, but they don't throw the ball. They don't throw the ball like Ohio State does.
That's right.
I mean, Michigan had run the ball on just everybody all year. They didn't have to do anything. I think they had one game with like 500 yards rushing or something like that. And that was a game where Michigan State, even they got behind. They had a controversial call in order to get back into the game. And because Michigan doesn't particularly light up the scoreboard like that, they were able to just lean on their run game and slowly pull that thing back. Problem is, you ran up against a team that at any moment can go for 75 yards and a touchdown with any one of their receivers. They might have 3,000-yard receivers right now and a 1,000-yard running back.
That'd be crazy. I don't know if that's a record or not.
It hadn't been done since like the 60s or something. I think it's been done one time before. But, I mean, they've got weapons everywhere. And, Michigan State is not built on offense to get into a shootout like that. And their pass defense, frankly, is not very good. It wasn't very good even going into that game. The numbers kind of boosted it a little bit, but their pass defense, if you look at the analytics, it wasn't really all that.
Yeah, I mean, it was an awful game. And Craig, no, you haven't missed a play yet. You might have missed the explanation on how this is going to be able to break down, and we'll get JT to talk about that again here in a moment for those of you that are continuing to join in on the live show.
It'll be at the end. You hadn't missed anything yet. We got a long way to go tonight.
We knew it, yeah. And this is going to be a good one. I mean, if you really like football and the X's and the O's and getting down to the nitty gritty, because a lot of times, when we're reading stuff or talking to people, they're just kind of on the surface a little bit. And I think we're going to maybe open up your eyes a little bit. If there's any coaches and stuff listening to that nature, they'll know exactly what we're talking about. But it'll be good because I do want to talk about press technique, and we'll get back to this in a minute. What leverage is, different kind of press techniques, how to cover the deep ball and the struggles that defenses are having now, and then, of course, the quarterback play. It's not just nowadays, but all the time. So right now we're going to continue to talk about these rankings because I think this is good. I think we're in a good spot. Bama's still in a good spot, right? All we need to do, we still could fall out, right? Got to beat Auburn. I'm kind of worried about coming in at an 18-point favorite. I think that's what it was. I don't know if it's still there or not, going in the Jordan Hare,
which is already too many points.
I was already going to be on that we wouldn't cover.
No, I'm taking Auburn plus the points.
But so now, what's the deal with Bo Nix? Is he healthy or not healthy? I'm hearing this stuff. He's not going to play.
Doesn't matter.
Now, Bo Nix is the big difference now.
I'm saying it doesn't matter, not because Bo Nix is not a difference maker. It's because as big of a rivalry game this is, how poorly we play on the road anyway. If Auburn is going to win, I don't think it will have anything to do with whether Bo Nix plays or not. I think that TJ Finley is good enough.
Okay. I don't know. I'm putting it all on our shoulders still. We got to be able to run the ball better, still. I still not sold on a run game. I think we can light it up with our passes, that we can move the ball. I think we'll be able to move the ball on them. I'm not even worried about that. But, I don't know. Maybe I should just take it for who we are now, that we seem to be more of we're just a better passing team right now. What do you say?
He said Facebook is messing up, just so you know.
Yeah, they probably keep hearing me talk about we're moving off of them, so they're trying to figure out a way for us to go ahead and get rid of them anyway. So, yeah, just stay over here, Craig. Make sure that you come to YouTube all the time. No, we're not even going to be on Facebook anymore after this. Okay. So there's some things we got to fix. I'm still worried about our secondary, which we're going to talk about later. Even Saban was talking about some things about the complexity. I think I sent that text over to you, JT.
You did. I didn't get that one in the in the screenshot.
No, it's okay. But he was talking about, too many options, right? Which I've been talking about. I talked about a little bit on the Touchdown Alabama interview I did, that it feels like we're giving the players too much leeway on making calls. That's what I think. I don't have any knowledge of that. But the way that defense is set up, someone has to make the call, and I think we're making the wrong calls and giving them too many options. That's what I feel. Well, Craig, you're talking about covering the screen pass. We ain't covered running backs.
No, he's talking about on offense.
Oh, need to learn how to use it. Well, yeah, we only used it to one game. New Mexico State, they should have kept throwing the bubble screens out there. I don't know. Maybe just holding some stuff. We're winning, and they're doing it. But I was, I'm happy that we won the game, 45 or what was it, 42-35. But I wasn't. I've been talking about it now. I need to update my little sheet, I guess, on how many big plays we've actually given up. Because when I tweeted that out a little while ago, I think there were 7, 8, 9, 10 explosive plays, and now I have no idea what it's up to now.
I'm sure I can find it.
But it's just too many. And it doesn't matter who we're playing. If we're playing Auburn or later down the road in the SEC championship game, Georgia still has the ability to make some big time plays, and we can't allow that to happen. So hopefully we'll just get a little bit healthier. The what they did with the offensive line, I don't know if that's really the answers.
Nope. We have no answers there. I don't know. I think this offensive line is probably as good as they're going to get.
Okay.
This year.
All right. So let's talk about this, JT. JT, you had a very interesting point that you wanted to make about Oklahoma and a shakeup that you think could happen.
Yeah. So this is, there's always a point every year that the committee, without saying it, makes some kind of statement. And usually it's kind of in week one or the first week when the rankings come out, and you have your Cincinnati's and you see where they're ranked at. And then the committee is basically telling you they've got a shot if the whole world falls apart, or they don't have a shot at all. This happened with BYU last year, I think, where their first ranking came out and BYU was like at 10. And same with Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina was 12 or whatever. They were double digits. And that was the committee saying, we don't believe in you. Sorry. And, this is exactly what they did to Oklahoma, right? They were like, you're undefeated, but we don't believe that you're all that good. And then Oklahoma goes and loses. Now, what they did this year with Cincinnati was they put them at 6, and they said, you got a shot, but you need some help. They got the help. I mean, clearly they're at 4, but the next statement that the committee may have to make is what happens if Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State this week, and then they beat Oklahoma State again next week and win the Big 12. The committee is going to have a decision. Do you take an undefeated Group of 5 team, or do you take a 1-loss Power 5 champion?
Whew, I hear you. I hear you. I just feel like with them being at 10, it's a long way down there. You're telling me that they could potentially skip over Notre Dame.
Well, so think about this. You got 2 weeks, right? If they win this week, they would have beaten the number 7 team. Mm-hmm. So they might just next week, they might jump to 5 or 6.
They could.
And then you've got another week. Mm-hmm. And then go from 6 to 4. It's not like they're going to go from 10 to 4 right away. They got 2 weeks to kind of do this incremental.
I think, and this is my joking league side, as you guys know, I like to play jokes all the time, right? But I think there'd be some riots, man. If Cincy doesn't get in, if they're undefeated and they're already in the top 4, and you're just going to jump them over them, I think we check up the whole world. Then we're going to have all other kind of discussions again on the playoff format. Are we going to 8 teams? What does that really look like?
I was meaning to tell you, I have changed my mind a little bit.
Well, you don't want 8 now?
Well,
I hear you, Walter.
I'm wavering on, I guess, what the actual question is. What are we actually trying to accomplish? Because what I'm trying to accomplish when I say we should expand, what I'm trying to accomplish is probably not what the average fan at large is trying to accomplish with 8 or 12.
What do you mean? Trying to find the best team?
Well, I think that most people want 8 or 12 because they're tired of the same teams in the top 4 all the time.
All right.
And expanding doesn't do that for you. What it actually does is just let Alabama lose 3 games every year and get in anyway. That's what it does.
You're going to have the same 4 in the Final Four is what you're saying anyway.
Probably.
Or maybe, depending on how you seed it out.
Yeah, but if your thing is like, I'm sick of, a team like Alabama not winning, losing 1 game, not going to their conference championship game, and somehow in the top 4 in the playoffs anyway. If you expand it, that doesn't solve that problem. Mm-hmm. That just means Oklahoma's a perfect example. That just means Oklahoma can beat Oklahoma State, lose their conference game this year, still be ranked at 10
with 2 losses
and get in anyway. which is fine with me. That was never my problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that most people, I shouldn't say most people, what your Uncle Larry would say is it doesn't matter how it works. If you're not doing a true tournament fashion like a basketball deal, which you can't do in football, it's going to be what it is. You can't do a best 2 out of 3 kind of thing because we're seeing, any given Saturday. Well, can't even say that for college football now. There's
Tuesday,
there's a big time game coming on
Friday.
tomorrow on Thursday. I think somebody good is playing on Thursday. I guess Mississippi State is playing somebody on Thursday. Maybe I shouldn't have said good.
Craig says that he thinks that Michigan's going to beat Ohio State. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be close personally, but I guess we'll see.
Well, I don't know. I've been rooting for Harbaugh to try to go ahead and beat these guys sooner or later, but I don't know if it's their year or not. Michigan's running back is hurt. I know they got the backup. I'm forgetting the names. Corum and Haskins, I believe, are the two. Oh, it's the Egg Bowl this Thursday. Yeah, so.
Oh, that is big time.
Yeah.
On Thursday?
I think it's on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, okay. No, okay. That makes sense.
What?
I kind of just forgot that Thursday was Thanksgiving.
Still. I don't know. Rivalry. It don't matter. You're messing with pro football at that point.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, it is Mississippi. So, like, what pro team their pro team ain't playing on Thanksgiving anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Their pro team, well, I guess they are because it's Ole Miss and Mississippi State.
Well, speaking of Thanksgiving and all that, what about the Cowboys, man, losing to the Chiefs? So, yeah, how you feeling about that one? I'm okay. I don't think we're full strength at it. I think our defense played very, very well. Talking to Dallas Cowboys, it kept us in the game. But when you're down, what end up being 2 wide receivers, one of your offensive tackles, I think going into Kansas City, it still was a good showing. We kind of talked about it before. I felt like if we would have been at full strength, that we'd had a better chance of winning that football game. I'm not. Everybody's thinking the sky's falling and whatnot. I mean, the Cowboys are going to win the division. I think once we get our guys back healthy again, it's going to be favorable. So this Thursday, Vegas is rolling in town. I'm thinking that we go ahead and handle business there, get back on track again, and continue to roll and, just battle it out. I didn't look at the power rankings. Oh, what are you looking at there?
I was looking at ESPN's win probability.
And what they got us for?
Well, no, I was looking at like the win probability over the course of the game.
Oh.
And basically they right about
had the Chiefs all the way up.
I mean, 76% Chiefs for win probability is, I mean, that's not saying the game is over, but it's kind of saying the game is over.
That was right after those bad throws. That
was 8 minutes left in the first quarter.
Well, we weren't playing very good, man. I mean, we couldn't complete a pass. Yeah, you're right, Claire. I'm glad it wasn't a blowout. I mean, Michael Parsons continued to show why he's wanted to be the, best in the league. I mean, the way they're moving him around, put him at defensive end the whole doggone game, and he's whooping those guys up front. It's ridiculous. Okay, Claire, I see what you say that they went down to number 5 in the power ranking. I don't know. I guess following JT's words from last week, if you lose like that, it doesn't really take into effect injuries and things of that nature. Amari being out, but I think I don't know if I know you don't really watch it, but JT Claire was really telling Cedric Wilson, and she didn't really talk about anybody else. Said they need to catch their own ride home because they were dropping catches. They had their chance to get in and step up, and it looks like he's going to have another chance because Amari's still not going to be there, right? So he still should be the starter. CeeDee Lamb probably out. I think it'd be crazy for him to try to play just from a health and safety deal. He hit his head on the turf pretty hard. I know they say he's trending in the right direction or whatever, but the way
Still
this
a short week.
short week, and the way this just the awareness of being concussed and trying to come back in 4 days. I mean, everything we've always been taught has been a 5-day earliest return. So I don't know. Maybe there's different rules for the league when you can do that, but I wouldn't expect him to play. So Gallup and Cedric would have to come out playing. I don't know. I'm not really as worried about the Raiders as much as I would have been for something else. I don't know what the spread is and what the probability is right now, but I think we're going to be okay.
The only thing that was disappointing to me was if I told you
what you said.
Oh, I wasn't looking. I was looking at the stat sheet.
No, Sarah, Clara said that she said that Cedric should have took Spirit Airlines home.
Well, if I told you that Patrick Mahomes threw for 260 yards and an interception, and that the leading rusher for Kansas City only had 63 yards.
Supposed to be a win.
Yeah, it is. So that's the thing that is most disappointing to me is that we could. I mean, even
no touchdowns.
Yeah, no touchdowns.
Zero. I mean, this high flyer flying. Even with Zeke, Dalton Schultz, and Prescott, I thought we'd still be able to find a way to get in there. And Cedric was playing so well earlier in the year that I thought he could have, made some plays for us. And I mean, Gallup, I don't know what happened to him. I don't even know how many catches he had.
Well, let's look at the box score.
Yeah, Walter, we do have to take care of the players. We got to be able to do that. It's not that important. At this point anyway, right? Player safety is what we're always talking about. So Dalton Schultz was the leading
receiver, 6 catches, 53 yards. Gallup 5 catches, 44 yards.
The longest was what?
16
yards. Yeah, I mean that's not good at all. And Zeke ended up rushing 32 yards. Pollard had more rushing yards than he did. I know that came on that one trick play that they ran. I don't know if it's considered a trick play or whatnot. Early on, we went around the right.
Yeah, the fake reverse.
Yeah, so that was pretty good. I thought he was going to get more carries and an opportunity to shine a little bit more. But I don't know if Zeke even showed up on the injury report, after his ankle kind of got rolled up a little bit. So I don't know, man. I think we're going to be good. All right. What do you got to say about Jason Garrett getting fired already? Is he a scapegoat?
Scapegoat? No.
Yeah, no. He's the fall guy.
No, the fall guy. That offense was terrible. Terrible.
Well, is it him or is it the quarterback?
Well, I don't know. I haven't been watching the Giants all that much, but talking to Nick, the guru Granado, we were talking about who would be second in the division and things like that. And he was talking about the Giants and Daniel Jones just not being very good. And I was saying that I'm not sure that it's that Daniel Jones is not very good. I think that the offense as a whole is not very good. I don't think their offense coordinator is very good. And I think that he will start throwing interceptions because Jason turned Danny down. Yes, into Danny Pesos. Exactly. I was saying that I think Daniel Jones is going to be throwing interceptions because they're going to be behind in a lot of games, and he feels like he's going to have to make a play, and he's just going to be throwing stuff. So I was saying that if the Giants have a bad season, it's probably going to be more on Jason Garrett than it is on Daniel Jones. I think the front office agreed with me so far. It
doesn't surprise you he got fired now, though. I mean,
No.
Yeah.
I think that I'm giving the Giants credit where credit is due. They saw the problem. They said we need to get rid of it. And it took the Cowboys like 6 seasons to do it. And the Giants had to see it for a season and a half. And they were like, all right, we got to do something else.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Now you got Freddie Kitchens. I don't know if they officially announced him as the play caller now or whatnot. So we'll see how that turns out and what's happening. Maybe Jason lost some of the guys in the locker room or whatnot. But they've been hurt the whole time. I'm not defending him or whatnot, but they didn't have Saquon for a while. They didn't have Galladay. I think Sterling Shepard still not playing. Darius Slayton just got back. I mean, they ain't have anybody. So I don't even know who their tight end is. Evan Ingram's not there anymore.
No, he is.
Oh, I was thinking maybe I'm thinking someone else. I was thinking he went somewhere else, but it doesn't matter. They're not moving the ball. And I was thinking it was more because of personnel, just them being hurt, So I don't know. I got a little soft spot for Jason Garrett anyway, just because I played with him and against him. And then he's always been cool with me as far as coming around the facility and stuff like that when we were there. So he always did a lot for my schools. Yeah, he is a nice guy,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's not a nice guy. Sometimes, maybe offense coordinators just that's not your calling. Maybe it's a position coach, maybe just a QB coach, maybe an analyst, player development. I don't know. But maybe just not offense coordinator.
You think he's done though, or does he become someone's quarterback coach now, or does he just kind of?
Well, he can do what Scott Linehan did. He can go and coordinate for LSU and have another uninspiring offense in college, and then go to Missouri and have another uninspiring offense, and just keep doing it that way.
That could be a pretty good deal. Maybe he goes back to Princeton and win the Ivy League or something. I don't know. Yeah, a college move might be good. I just don't know. I don't know him that well. I don't know what he would be thinking about, or even if his name starts to pop up around those.
You think he'd have enough to where if he just wanted to not do it anymore, he wouldn't. He'd be fine. He can go be an analyst somewhere.
He could be an analyst at another job and just another pro team maybe, and just sit back in the back and kind of watch film and do what they do and advise and maybe find another job.
He can do whatever the head coach at the Texans was doing for the last 20 years before he somehow became a head coach. Yeah. Whatever it was he was doing, he can do that.
Yeah, that's true, because they're bad down there too. So their coaching carousel is going to get jumping off here.
In college too.
Yeah, pretty soon. I mean, Dan Mullen out. I mean, it's all kind of stuff, starting to pop off now. So it's going to be interesting to watch this carousel and see what.
Do you agree with them letting Dan Mullen go when they did?
Yes. I think who they just lose to or
Missouri.
Struggle with. You can't lose. Can't lose.
You can't lose to 5 straight Power 5 teams if you're Florida.
No, you can't. Especially when they were ranked and projected to be pretty doggone good this year.
And especially when you were almost in the SEC championship last year.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
You can't give up 42 points to Samford in a half.
I don't even know what happened there. I didn't even watch it. It was just unbelievable, what was going on. So,
and you can't go on national television and tell everybody that you don't recruit in the middle of the season.
Yeah, that's not good.
So if you're worried about we can't fire him because recruits, he wasn't doing that anyway. So
if you get fired, do they have to pay you out?
Yes.
So it could have been set up. He wanted to go on vacation.
Unless they fire you with cause. They fire you with cause and don't have to pay you. That is why Jeremy Pruitt is on the verge of suing Tennessee. But if they fire you just because they want you out, they got to pay your buyout. Okay. See Coach Orgeron.
Well. Okay, well, all right. Any picks you need to make before we move on to the next part? I know everybody's wanting to see this. What we're going to do with demonstrations.
I don't know. I'm looking at the college slate just to see if there's anything
worth talking about.
interesting.
Well, who you taking in the Ohio State Michigan game?
Let me see the line because I actually want I want to actually go. I want to go with the line here. The line is 8.5. Oh, I'm taking Ohio State minus the points.
Okay, all right. I think I'll.
And I'm taking the over. The over is at 64.5.
Yeah, but Ohio State's going to score most of those.
Yes,
right.
I think so.
I don't know who Georgia has this week.
Doesn't matter. They got Tech.
Georgia Tech. That'd be a rout. Bama Auburn.
I've got Alabama winning and a close one. I've got Auburn plus the points.
Okay. I got Alabama winning too, of course. Who do we? Cincy Houston.
Actually, they're not. Cincy doesn't play Houston yet. They play East Carolina. They'll have Houston next week for the conference.
Well, that'll be a rout this week. Then I'll be rooting for Houston. No, I'm not, because I want Cincy to get in. I just want to see what they have going on.
Well, so here's the real problem where I think that Cincy is going to end up getting a bad rap is they're going to play Georgia. And then everybody's going to be like, oh, look, they could. Yeah, but I feel like anybody, whoever Georgia plays in that first round is getting beat by 40.
So are you saying that regardless of what happens, and all hypotheticals, Bama loses, somebody loses, you think Cincy's going to get stuck at 4? No way to get into 3. If Ohio State loses or Bama loses.
All right. So this is going back to my Oklahoma theory. Since he stays at 4, Oklahoma somehow jumps into 3, and everybody's pissed.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So go ahead and take your pick on the Oklahoma State game, Oklahoma OU game. Then.
Right. Where's
this
at? Let's see. It is. Can I find them? Can I find them on the list? Anybody in the chat know? I don't see them. Are they not playing on Saturday?
Bye week? Both of them? No, that's rivalry weekend.
Yeah. All right, fine. I'll do the search.
Okay.
And Oklahoma State is going to be playing at home. 6:30.
They might beat them. Yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys. I'm with you. Ohio State. I see you, Clara. She says she's taking Ohio State and take the points. Okay. All right. Any other thing you need to hit before we get into this stuff? Because I'm really excited to be able to talk about some football.
Nope.
Get it going.
Nope. We can start pulling up clips and whatnot. So I guess for those listening on the podcast tomorrow, shouldn't say tomorrow. Nobody knows when tomorrow is. Whenever you're listening to this in the future, this will be the end of the podcast. If you want to see this demonstration and you want to go and you want to see the clips of what we're talking about when it comes to the Alabama defense and hear our thoughts on that, this is your cue to close whatever podcast app that you're listening to us on, jump on YouTube, and catch the rest of the live show. We are 41 and a half minutes in if you just want to go ahead and jump to that. So we'll catch you next time if you're listening on the recording. For the rest of you that are here with us now, let's go ahead and get into some clips.
Let's do it.
So where do you want to start? How do you want to do this?
Okay, so I want you to show the Alabama play, and what I want you guys to look at while you guys are here is one particular play. I can't remember what quarter it was in. Doesn't matter. But there's so much into this play. Okay, and there's really only two things that I think we want to show, and we can't go backwards and forwards.
We can. I just thought, like, why don't I just share my screen? Why
Well, look
do
at
the
here.
other
See,
things?
that's why I'm glad my son is all up in the computers. That's why he's a great software engineer. Okay, so this play that we're going to show, there's a few things that I need for you to be able to look at once he gets it up. We're going to look at our left corner and the technique that he used. Now, I don't think you put both clips in there, so this is kind of
well, we can show whatever we got, and
okay. So we're going to show the wide angle first, so you can kind of see the play developing. This was a touchdown play by Arkansas, where a lot of things can be dissected with this play. So what I want you to look at, early on is the top
boxes on the screen. Sorry.
Yes, at the top half of the screen. Once we get this picture right, the left corner, which is
Josh Jobe.
The slot corner. I don't know if we call him a nickel or what we actually call him in there.
He's a star.
The star is Micah. I'm sorry. Malachi Moore, right? And I don't know who the safety is at the top on the 30-yard line.
Right here, up here on the 30 is DeMarco Helms.
Okay. Then there are other safety.
Jordan Battle.
Is Jordan Battle. So these are the main four that I need to be able to talk about with this, because there's some technical issues by Job. The route concept is pretty simple. Me and JT both think the defensive call was good. The execution of the play was not. So
can I draw on this? I'm kind of playing. I'm sorry. While
we're going Chris was up here. So can you guys see the screen? You're drawing. Can you see him drawing on the screen? Give me some feedback if anybody can hear me at all. What's that R? Red elephant. Welcome to the show, brother. Okay, so we're gonna hit play, and we'll come back to it. So I just want you to see what's happening. Keep your eye on the top of the screen. Technique: 2 DBs aren't covering either one of the guys. Nobody in the middle of the field. Run it back if you can. All right, so stop it right there first. So what we're going to be talking about here is we got one guy in press at the top and then another one off. So really we should not be running into each other at all. Right? So they're not doing that. So one of the things, the first thing I'm going to talk about when we get up here in a second is this press technique by Job and what this means.
Do we actually want to break down the call on like what they're actually doing here? So we've got a too high look, which if you're just looking at, if you're the quarterback, if you're KJ Jefferson right now, this looks like cover 2 man. We're going to have 2 safeties deep. We're going to play man across the board. And I believe this is probably what you saw in the stadium, right? Because you had, right after this play, you had texted me and asked, did we have a safety? Or did we have a deep field safety come down and cover a running back?
Yes.
Which seemed, at least through text message, seemed to have irritated you at the beginning. And I was looking, I had the benefit of this. This is the projector screen that I was recording on, and was like, the call wasn't bad, because what they're actually worried about is this QB draw here.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're going to get is man here, man here, man. He has the back. And you say, well, what is the QB, or what is the middle linebacker doing? He's actually just spying KJ Jefferson. KJ Jefferson decides to run a draw, sweep, whatever. That is this guy. And he's going to drop to the middle of the field. We're going to get something like this.
Yep. So
makes sense. So when we're going through this, I'm having fun. Look at this. We're going through this. You're actually going to see, he's this guy down at the guy in the slot on the bottom of the screen. I guess that's about the 43-yard line. He's actually going to go in motion and come back. And we're going to turn this from a cover 2 man look into a cover 1 man spy. I don't even want to say
spy. Yes, correct.
So I wish I could actually kind of just slow this down in general, but
so there's a safety. One of the safeties vacating. The top safety vacated to go to the back that went across in front of the quarterback. Right? So someone should be in the middle of the field helping these guys.
Yeah, and I think we have different theories. So yes, I agree. He should be in the middle of the field, right here, being able to break either direction.
Yes, and I want to talk about that because this is a good play, actually, by the quarterback of Arkansas to freeze our free safety, to hold him on the backside and then come back to the other side. So, we do work on these. You got to train yourself. You got to put yourself in a position to be able to get from hash to hash minimum, if you're middle safety field. That's what I think.
And I think there's a little bit of because I tell this to our guys all the time, right? Like, know who your players are.
Yes.
And know who you're probably going to have to help. And I would think if you ask Jordan Battle, if you're going to have to help somebody, is it going to be Malachi Moore or is it going to be Daniel Wright? He'd be like, I trust Malachi. I'm going to lean onto Daniel Wright's side, which is this guy right here. So when I was looking at it, what I saw was it looked like Daniel Wright from the beginning was getting run past right now. I think we can't see him, but I'm willing to bet that he's already beat.
There's 2 switch routes I think that he gave him probably. So the switch route meaning 1 became 2, 2 became 1. If you guys can understand what I'm talking about there. Craig, I hear you say, I think it was Craig asked why did he chase, or someone asked why did he chase the quarterback. He didn't chase the quarterback. He actually chased the running back. The running back went in front of the quarterback. So our safety is responsible for him. Different deals, we're trying to hide that. That's a long way to try to cover somebody. But the down and distance is 3rd and 14. So, we're okay there. He just got to get down there and make the tackle. The main thing, because if he did dump it off, he'd have to make the tackle. Okay, so I want to talk about the technique Joe used. He used a quick jam, right? He used a quick jam. Oh, you got the other clip. So
yeah,
so let's show you the other clip now of a little bit closer. All right, so they showed this. He used a quick jam and he totally missed. And you can't miss like this, right? This is bad technique, right? Now, he causes a problem for Malachi because he's looking at 2 guys running free, and he actually gets run off his man by Joe. Big problem. So I got to talk to you about this technique here and why you can't do that. This is a change-up deal, but we can't lose to the inside. I'll tell you why. More than just, hey, it's man, and I don't want to do that. But we're already falling into a trail position, so it doesn't matter what he's running, he's going to get beat.
Yeah, so you got to imagine what KJ Jefferson sees here. We can just freeze it right here. And we saw what happened from the other clip. So what KJ Jefferson sees is his receiver's already open.
Yep.
From the line, Job is beat, and he sees a safety that he thought was going to be back here is running up the field to come get this back. That he thought he thought that pre-snap read. You're saying I've got 2 high safeties. We got this switch on. It's probably going to be covered. I'm probably going to have to dump it off to my back. Right. And he's just going to have to make a play. And then you see your safety coming down and you see 1 yard off the ball, your best receiver. Well, no, this is I guess your second best receiver has already beaten his man. This is already a touchdown.
Yes. And in both block, he could have thrown to either one of them, probably, but it's an easier throw. Clara says, so should he have run more of an out route until he had some room and then come back? The wide receiver?
No, the wide receiver did exactly what he was supposed to do.
The wide receiver is exactly right. He stutters his feet, swats his left hand. This is right. Can we talk about that, JT? Right?
Yeah. I mean, this right here is exactly what we would do every day. Like, if you guys go through your footwork drills at DBs, when I was playing receiver, our first 15 minutes for the most part was hand fighting and getting off press.
Yes. So, and that's a no-no because you're already beat. And that's what we're talking about as defensive back coach. And you throw that hand up in the air, it's over. Right. Mm-hmm. And so then you can't really see the safety, but the middle field safety, I'll talk to you guys about that a little bit more. And just not necessarily a whole lot of technique on it. We got to, I think we just got to be more disciplined, especially when he should see this guy running up the field scot-free, but he could be running scot-free down the bottom of the field too. I don't know. I didn't see it in the game. I just saw these 2 guys chasing him. And it's going to go back into what's quarterback's name for Arkansas?
KJ Jefferson.
KJ Jefferson. He did very good with his eyes. We don't have an end zone view of this, but he does stare to the left.
Yeah, and maybe we can look at it just for a second here. It's probably going to be hard to see on the stream, but we'll try because his face mask is white, right? His helmet's red, his face mask is white, so you can kind of tell where his eyes are from the snap.
Mm-hmm.
Which let me get my handy dandy pin.
To his left.
Yes, to his left.
So as I told you, they're going to keep running motions and shifts. So he is looking to the left. The running back goes in front. His eyes are over here, which holds that safety. He's working towards the middle of the field, but he's not going to go all the way because of where quarterback is looking. So he doesn't get all the way there. He might have squatted.
Which is not wrong. So, we're not saying that this is poor technique. This is just what happens. You're the only guy deep and you got all these people running deep. You got to take your cues somehow.
Now, so just leave it right there for a second. So look at the top again. Now you can see Job is already beat.
Yeah.
Compared to everybody else. Right. So he's already lost.
He's open. He's coming this way.
Quarterback's holding the free safety.
Already saying this is where I'm throwing the ball.
Yep. We got him. Okay. So he holds the safety, let it run. He's still looking at the free safety. And that is the hardest part as a safety when the guy is looking at you. I try to tell these high school kids this all the time. He's going to try to hold you. And as a quarterback, I try to tell the quarterback, hold that safety with your eyes because you can fool him. Right? Now look at the top again. Now
is when he's actually come back to him.
So his eyes have gone back to the right. Guys, scot-free. Let it go. Touchdown. Okay. All right. So that's the gist of it on that piece. Now do you have the Vikings clip?
I do.
Okay. So one other piece that we're going to talk about. Y'all hang in here. I'm glad you're loving this, Claire. All right. So the other piece when I'm talking about defending the deep balls, it doesn't matter if you're pressed or off, but we want to be able to talk about this because I think you guys have been hearing me talk about this a little bit. But this was a great thing that we need to talk about because it did happen to our Alabama DBs a lot. They were getting thrown by on the back shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Fade, right? So this is a good clip of it. All right. We can on this clip, if you look down to the bottom of the screen, I think it's Justin Jefferson will be down at the bottom. Yes. And he is being covered by the left corner down here. The guy actually gets in phase. We'll talk about what in phase and out of phase is. He's over the top. He's looking back for the ball. This is the way we teach our Alabama defensive backs to play the ball all over the field. Okay, so we had to talk about the difference between red zone and up the field. But you can see where the ball is right now. It's very hard for this defensive back to come back and make this play, regardless, in my deal, in my opinion. And I'll talk about that and where the positioning is. Where's the leverage? Are you on top of the receiver, meaning in between him and the end zone, or are you behind him, right? Because a small shove by Justin Jefferson right here, complete, right? And eventually a touchdown. So we really got to dissect that because I don't think a lot of people, JT, really understand what that is. You know, you can kind of talk about it from a wide receiver standpoint and a defensive standpoint, but I think that goes in the difference between a look and lean sometimes and I don't even know what the real technique is, but when you're facing them up like we do at Alabama, they don't look and lean. They just face up the receiver all the time and face guard or play through the hands. And this is the technique that we use at Bama, right? And so, again, when I'm talking about the complexities of our defense and our techniques, this is a good example of why we can't only rely on that, in my opinion. Okay, in my opinion. So you want to get up and talk a little bit about some of this stuff?
Yeah.
JT?
All right. So we're going to have a quick transition. I'm going to put up a banner just so we can get the other camera angle and get our microphone set up. So give us about 30 seconds and we'll be right back.
Just let me know.
You should be live now.
Okay, so welcome back. And hopefully you guys can hear me. I would say to give me a thumbs up or something, but you still can get in the chat and let me know if you can see me well or hear me well. Okay, I do need that feedback for you because me and JT are going to stand up here and kind of demonstrate some of these techniques and things. The first thing I want to be able to talk to you about is the press technique. And JT is going to be a wide receiver, and I'm going to be a defensive back once we get ourselves all set up. But the main things you got to know about press technique or playing man-to-man is where your leverage is. So we're going to be hypothetical and say that the ball is over here on this side. So if he's a wide receiver, I'm the defensive back, and the ball is over on this side. I want to be, if I'm a man, there's a couple different things you got to know on man-to-man. First thing is, it's always important for a defensive back to know where his help is. Where's my help? So that's going to determine where my leverage needs to be. Is it here or outside? Okay. And sometimes coaches have different philosophies about that, but I'm going to talk about having a inside leverage. In high school, pee-wee or something, when you tell a guy to get inside, a lot of times they get inside like this and they just kind of say, hey, you ain't coming in here, right? Middle school, not really in high school. Okay, we don't really do that. Not good high schools. Better high schools are really trying to teach the defensive backs to split the crotch of the wide receiver with their foot. Okay, so if my right foot is inside his right foot and split, this will be a good inside leverage. So I'm trying to keep him from not coming in here. Okay, if you're better, you're 4-star, 5-star, or in college, they're telling you to get eye to eye, my right eye with his right eye, right? So I'm not giving it away all the way completely, but I still have leverage here, okay, inside. I get the hand fight to try to keep him out of there. I got to be really good. In the pros, we can't even do this because they're already going to know what your leverage is. So they're telling us get head up this guy. So he's got a two-way go, okay? So that's the first thing about it. Now, the next piece that I need to be able to talk to you about is what Job did. So inside leverage, I got this hand. He used the right hand. Okay, he used the right hand. What?
Yes.
So yeah, I'm gonna get back this way. Now the ball's over here. I'm gonna be Job for real. So the ball is over here on this side. So what he did was here. Watch out. Move out for a second. So what the mistake that he made is he stepped with his right foot and his right hand. Now, Deion Sanders used to do that. Deion Sanders used to line up like this and kind of jump and flinch at you like that. Well, he's all world, all everything, and could be able to do that, right? So in this case, my college guy steps with the right foot and the right hand, right? Remember, he's trying to not let him in here, okay, at this point. So when he comes, now come back up, JT. So as he said, he's working his skills. I shoot my right foot and my right hand. He slaps me. There is no way I can get back here. I'm dead in the water, right? So he's either got to run around himself, which he did, or he's got to try to head whip as fast as he can and try to go chase. Either way, you're in panic mode, right? So what he needs to be able to do, if he's going to be able to do that, if he's going to be able to launch, he's got to be able to make sure that he protects, and he can't miss what he did. That guy gave him a good move, just like JT gave me, right? Mr. Miyagi. Now I'm dead in the water. He's gone that way. So he can't miss there. That's a gamble, and we can't have those gambles. So the counter move most of the time is what we call a motor technique. We're going backwards a little bit, let him dance, like all these wide receivers are doing now. Did y'all have all them kind of moves when y'all?
Yeah, so we were actually taught not to. Seems counterintuitive, right? Because we tell our running backs all the time, no false steps. Mm-hmm. If I got press, my first step was supposed to be backwards because of that. You got guys with lunge and guys who were really good with their hands. So what we were taught to do was to step back and basically do the same thing you're doing. I'm giving you a head fake. I might even give you multiple moves, right? Especially if I'm trying to go this way, I might actually take a step this way so that you do use this hand and I'm coming back this way.
Back to it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the base technique should always be, we're both going to do the old shimmy, right? If he's going to go back, I'm going to go back. I'm going to let him do what he got to do and let him declare. That's what I'm going to tell him. He got to pick which way he's going to go.
I can't hand fight anymore. I've just got to be faster than you.
Yeah. So it's not a pedal as a defensive back. We call it a motor technique. We just got our feet hot. We're not buzzing our feet, chopping it. It's kind of just give ground a little bit, let him dance for a little bit, then let him declare, and then I can figure out which hand I want to hit him with. So if he wants to go in there, I can turn this way and I can run. If he wants to go that way, I can turn that way. Okay. So Job messed it completely up right from the beginning, shooting with the hand, getting beat by the wide receiver, dead in the water. We can't do it. Okay, we got to keep our hips square as much as possible, even when we're jammed, or turn it to 45. So we say, don't get your hips locked out. Don't get your hips locked out.
Don't open the gate.
Don't open the gate. We can't be all.
Because I want to do that too. If you're going to motor, and I want to go this way, I still want to take a few steps this way and get you to open and turn, because then I just want to dip around and make you have to head whip or something. Show me that you can change direction quicker than I can.
That's right. That's right. So that was the first piece of the breakdown. So now when he does that, he's running into Malachi. He knocks him off his guy.
Now you got two people open on the same side.
Now we got two guys open. Everybody's panicking, and we cannot be able to allow that to happen. So we got to fix those pieces. Okay. So let's talk about the free safety in the middle of the field. I can't read that if someone's putting something up there or whatnot, or any questions. If you got any questions, still just put them up there. We'll make sure we answer those.
Joe was still bothered by the injury that affected him playing press. I think he still had turf toe. Just a thought.
No, that ain't got nothing to do with the technique. That's really to tell you to go backwards if you got
that means
if you
he
got
should have been backpedaling.
foot problems. Okay, so from the safety, he's on the right hash. If JT was the quarterback, he's looking at me. I know you can't see JT on the screen. But if he was looking at me, I start to the middle of the field. His eyes are over here me. He's going to hold me back to this side. Job and those guys are over there. I don't get all the way to the middle of the field, or maybe not even deep enough. Or as JT said, I'm more concerned about helping with this side of the field. So it was just a really good piece by the quarterback of doing that. You always hear about quarterbacks being told, don't stare at wide receivers. And he wasn't necessarily staring at wide receiver. Okay. He was staring at the safety, trying to hold him. All you got to do is get your eyes over here a little bit, knowing that, hey, I need to get back over here.
It's already difficult to cover two
Come
seam
back in here
routes,
so they can see.
right? So you're trying to get in the middle of the field. You've got two seam routes that are at college hashes. They're actually wider than the college hashes. The college hashes are 20.
Uh-oh. What was that? Oh, my mic.
The college hashes, I don't know, 20 yards.
Yeah, they're wide.
23 and a half, something like that. So you're standing in the middle. You got about 12 yards. You got to go this way. You got 12 yards. You got to go that way just to get to the hash. And we as receivers are told to run our seam routes 3 to 4 yards outside the hash. So now it's 15 yards in either direction.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have two guys running free, you gotta pick one.
It's
almost like goalies trying to protect free kicks. You just have to guess and hope that you're right, or you have to try to bait the quarterback into throwing one.
You're trying to do what he's trying to do to you as a free safety. And you're trying to get in a position where because sometimes we'll hold backside on purpose so that he'll throw it the other way. Maybe there's a dig or something else coming from the other side so we can go jump it. So there's a lot of things in that. But in this case, for me, I think I would, if I was coaching them, and this happens, I'm trying to tell them, hey, you got to get to your landmark as if it was, you got 4 verticals essentially, you got to get in the middle field and you got to work for depth. And you got to look at the quarterback the same way he's looking at you, and don't move one way or the other until he takes his hands off the ball and get ready to throw the ball. Then I'm going to go ahead and break, right? If you hang back too far and it goes the other way, you're just not going to get there. That's why it's Power 5 football. You're not going to be able to get there. So he was already in a bad predicament.
I have a feeling that he probably didn't think he was going to get there anyway.
No,
he was probably looking back and was like, all right, he's running full speed. Dude is running this way. I'm running this way, and he's open. It's as many times you tell him to get to the landmark, it's still hard to, it's one of the hardest things for me was, when you get down to the goal line and they say, don't backpedal.
Yep.
And you're like, wait, there's 21 other people on the field moving around, and you want me to just stand here?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to do, and I think that's hard to do too when you're running away from somebody that you think is probably open, and the quarterback's looking at you, and you're thinking it takes everything to say, I still got to get over here, and then possibly speed turn.
Head whip. Yeah, you can't do that. Okay, so the last little tad bit that I feel like we should talk about is what getting in phase and out of phase. In phase, out of phase. You probably heard TV commentators talking about that. What does that actually mean? And so I want to be able to talk about this a little bit because it's kind of changed. So as I was talking about earlier, Bama teaches a technique, and a lot of times you always say, well, how come, can you get them to look back for the ball? Can you get them to look back for the ball? Well, that's not what we teach it. Well, I'm sorry. They are looking back for the ball, just not in the way that we're accustomed to doing it. So if he's a wide receiver and I'm a defensive back and we're going this direction, All right. So the couple things that we're talking about being in phase. Most of the time, that is meaning we want the defensive back to be on the top side of the wide receiver if we're heading this way. Okay. Top side. Is that the right terminology that I need to use? The upfield shoulder of the wide receiver. So we should be in phase and we should be able to look at the ball. So the two different kind of techniques that we can use. So if he's here, we act like you're a wide receiver. So our guy's going to look like this. The quarterback's back there. We're running this way. The way I'm going to look for the ball, let's pretend the quarterback is on this side because this is the most difficult part, right? If I'm here, I am in phase. We are teaching our defensive back to look like this. Remember, I'm running full speed this direction. This direction to try to locate the football. Okay? We're engaged, and I'm trying to find the football this way. So naturally, that's an awkward run. I don't know if y'all can understand that or not, but that's an awkward run for us. This was brought in the football because a few years ago, the back shoulder throw
thanks, Aaron Rodgers.
was only done in the red zone, goal line, things of that nature. Now they're throwing it all over all the time. You know, quarterbacks are working on underthrowing the ball. They're getting pass interferences. They're getting things, right? So some of us are accustomed to doing the other way. I get in phase with the wide receiver, ball's over that way. I'm going to turn this way. I'm going to look, and I'm going to lean. Now, it helps me to be able to continue to run. I use my left hand, try to arm bar the guy, just to feeling to see if he's there, just in case he runs a comeback or something. But I got more leverage to stay on top. But if he stops for the back shoulder throw, I'm in bad position, right? So that's the philosophy that you got to have as a coach. Which one do you want to do? You want to be here, or do you want to be here? Now, I like them both. I think we got to be able to teach them both and try to watch enough film so that we can understand when they're throwing back shoulder fades. I don't know if tendencies are like that, but if I was a secondary coach, I'd try to be able to figure that out. Okay, so JT's.
So just chalkboard wars on this.
Yes.
Because I know how we ran our offense at Drake with all the option routes and how we ran our fades. I wonder, and I'm willing to bet that Creighton and Coach Martin would have said, if you're running a fade and he is facing you, I don't care what the route is, it's back shoulder now. We don't care. So in the sense of the tendency would be we're going to look and see what is it, because we were taught either to stack, because we didn't face this technique.
Well, tell them what stack is. So stack is he's trying to do what I'm trying to do. He's trying to get.
I'm trying to get like this, so the ball has to go over his head, and I'm catching like this. And the thought is, if I'm catching it right here, and he's trying to make a play on it, he has to go through me, and they're calling pass interference on this.
Yes.
So just in the thought of what we would be thinking on the offensive side is, even if you were switching, I think we would the quarterback will look and say, if you see the back of his helmet, throw the back shoulder. If you don't, try to throw it over his head, either one. So I don't know how you particularly game plan against.
Well, that's what makes it hard for a defensive back, as you're seeing. They're always going to try to make themselves right. Okay, and if we know he's going to get that, so I want to get into the technique of what a wide receiver will use if I'm faced up. Okay, so I'm in position. I'm here. I'm looking like this. For him to get me up the field even more, you take that right hand, shove me just a little bit, because the ball's going to come back there. No, right? So he's just going to give me a nice small nudge, grab the ball. I'm off balance because I'm running this direction anyway, and I have to try to stay on top so I don't give up the deep ball. Maybe we can show another clip later on, because you had this, I think it was Hopkins did a little fake back shoulder.
Oh, the thing where he was like juking the dude while the ball was in the air?
Yeah. Yes. So anyway, so you can see the predicament that the DBs are in now. Even if I'm like this and I'm looking at the ball, They got a little bit of just a small. It doesn't take much.
It's not even, and that's really the reason you don't get the pass interference calls, because it's not.
They're
It
not
doesn't
clubbing
take a
you
stiff
anymore.
arm. All it takes is just a
Because I'm hauling.
right. It's just a little bit.
Just a
'Cause I
tad
already
bit.
know I'm going this way.
Yes.
And you don't.
That's right. And you're seeing the ball. You're locating the ball before I am anyway. As you're running, I'm looking through his eyes, waiting to try to see what his hands are going to do. He gives me a shove. That's what we saw in the Minnesota film in the what Jefferson did. You can watch it every single week. Now you see it all the time, and you should be able to understand it. It looks like we're all saying pass interference. The guy's kind of falling, but that's not going to get called hardly ever unless he just slaps you in the back of the
unless
head
it's
or
a
something.
full extension. If he gets something like this, or
Yes.
but I mean, if you get a little elbow, or if the extension comes after, because we see that you say, "Oh, the arm is extended," but it was extended after the dude had already run this way
right.
anyway. So
That's right. So our corners and safeties and everybody's in a very bad predicament because either way, well, I'm going here, I can't stop. If I'm going like this, I'm going to get shoved, right, or pushed or whatever you want to call it. I'm a defensive back, so I'm saying shoved. You just can't. It's very, very hard to guard, especially if you got a quarterback who's accurate and can throw it at the right spot, and people with good hands that can have good body control. So that's kind of hard to do. So you got to think of all of those, what I just said from the beginning of if you're impressed or man or off, trying to run with this guy, all coach is saying is don't get beat deep, don't get beat deep, don't get beat deep. I'm running my hardest to not get beat deep, and I get a small shove to be able to do that. Okay. So that's where we're at on those three little pieces. Man, we could do this for so anything else you want to touch on, JT, before we
I was just kind of making sure my monitor's off, so I can't actually tell what.
Yeah, we can't see. So hopefully you guys have learned some things from this today. There's so much more that we could go into with this. I just think that let's not get carried away when we're our defensive minds or we're trying to figure out what's exactly going on because there's another clip we did not show you, and maybe we'll do it next week. It was me talking about that stack defense. Well, maybe I can hit on that real quick. Would you like to hear about that real quick? So we're about trying to defend the stack. Let me talk about that because I did a 2-minute video about that. You can find it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, right? Defending the deal. They were talking about it on Get Up about it. I thought they gave a good explanation. Jada, you want to?
Or can I get back in?
No, you can get back in there. Okay, so let me talk about Mr. Engineer. Got to go find out what's going on. Okay, so we're going to pretend like there's 2 wide receivers here in front of me. One right here, stack. Okay, so you have to try to define as a defensive back or as a coach what really is a stack. How close do the wide receivers have to be to each other to be considered stacked, right? Is it 2 yards? Is it 3 yards? Is it 1 yard? Maybe that varies from game to game, all right? But that really plays into the leverage thing that I was talking about before because if we're playing man against a stacked defense, okay, this could get complicated, right? So the system that we use at Alabama and in the pros is if I'm the guy in the front, I can either be taking the guy directly in front of me or I could be taking the guy behind me. So on that clip you might have saw, all right, you'll see guys tapping their head. That's called a top hat. That's what they use in the NFL. Top hat means I'm the guy in the front, but I'm covering the guy in the back. Woo. Kind of mess with your head a little bit, right? All right, so if I'm doing that, I have to be able to split these 2 wide receivers. So now it doesn't matter where he is. I'm going to be slightly, I can't give it away all the time, right? So if I'm over and there's a wide receiver here and one here, I'm really covering the guy in the back. So I got leverage on that guy. The problem is I got to get out of the way of this guy and try to read what this guy's doing. So he's got a lot of area to run outside or he could get back into what me and JT was just talking about. I'll have to open and turn, then he could beat me back inside. That happened in the game as well. I think they showed that clip too, where he goes out and then back in. So it's very, very difficult. But the problem is you got to know what the guy is doing behind you as well. So if I'm giving a top hat, right, he's got to know front and back guy, what my leverage is and how to do it. And you might be, instead of being inside leverage, you might actually be outside leverage, or vice versa. And so you're in a bad predicament. And the way JT just explained, most of the time they're just running the routes off of your leverage. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to shut this down a little bit because my cell phone's about to die, looks like. So that one is very complicated, and we run that a lot. So you'll see guys going motion. So pretend it's easy when they're standing right here, but just like in the clip that we showed you before, if that motion comes over from the other side and the guy is running this direction, he's a man, and he's signaling top hat or something to the defender on this side, oh my gosh, now it gets scary. It gets scary, especially if you're in a confusion. So you can see DBs kind of looking like, what is it, what is it, what is it? Then they got the guys back in this snap, or they might not even be all the way over here. So it's very complex. So I'm just asking for a little bit of patience with these guys. I don't know if Pete Golden or whoever it is has to narrow down some things or whatnot, Coach Saban, whoever it is. But I think we're giving our DBs too many options to be able to call, because they can't call that. The coaches can't call that on the fly from the field. The players have to communicate that. And if they're not on the same page, or they're not really liking it, or whatever it is, big plays tend to happen, right? So sometimes, for me, you just need to lock up with your guy, JT. We just need to lock up with your dude. You got him. He comes in motion, take him wherever he goes. That's okay sometimes. We call that a lock. I don't know that I've ever seen that called by Bama.
Well, I'm assuming that the folks can hear me.
Okay.
Now, what we had from, because I remember watching, if you haven't watched Coach Saban on YouTube do the Coaches Clinic,
Real quick, if you haven't seen him do the Coaches Clinic on YouTube, it's like 45 minutes.
Who was this?
Coach
Nick?
Saban.
Oh, no.
Now this was a while ago, so I know the defense has changed since then. But you know, he's kind of talking you through their terminology, what they use, and how they run their coverages. And I think the reason why they don't call lock, just based on kind of what I've seen there, is it's built into the coverage. They call it Meg technique. Meg for man everywhere he goes. And he was kind of just saying, like, hey, we call this and you're manned up. There's no need to call lock. That's what this coverage means. And I think that's probably why you don't actually see that, because they have coverages for that, and it seems like they also have coverages where that's not the rule. And that rule, at least as evidenced by this year, doesn't seem to change depending on formation or anything.
Okay, and that makes sense. I can see that really being a big part of it as well, you know, and maybe that takes some of the thinking out of it. I just think that if maybe we're caught in more positions of not Meg than top hat, or trying to think of what the other one would be called if I actually, you know, because it gets a little bit different when you have three guys, you know, in a cluster, we would call that. And so then it gets kind of complicated because you got three people trying to figure out who they have. A Meg, that makes it very simple. You got 1, 2, and 3, but then you got to figure out, okay, what does top hat mean? What does something else mean? I really, we'll come back to trying to, I just got to find that terminology that they actually use. And I know what the terminology that they use at Bama. But it's eluding me right now. So that gets a little bit more complicated as well when you get into 3. So I think for the most part, I think we hit on a lot of things today. It could be overwhelming. I don't know. You guys can give us the feedback. Let us know if it's too much football talk or whatnot, but we wanted to do something special for you guys because when you're watching the game, the way he and I watch the game as players, former players, we tend to be looking at technique, scheme, a whole lot more than just did he catch it, did he drop it, what it was. So we trying to see how things unfold. That's why I immediately texted him like, did I just see that free safety run out of the middle of the field or do something? And, I didn't, just because I don't have the same excitement at the game necessarily as a fan, I guess, because I'm trying to figure out what's going on. But I told you I was going to do that when I went to the Arkansas game. I wanted to be able to see what was actually happening. And I did see a lot. I saw a lot of good things, but I saw a lot of mistakes that were happening. And I do know that we got to have better coverage against these Auburn Tigers, Georgia, whoever else that we face, and we can't keep giving up these big plays. It's going to be a problem. So we got to be able to fix one, the technique of what we're using. I only talked about the press technique, but it could be off and other things. What are we doing there? Maybe that's another segment. What does it look like from off coverage? Because we're getting beaten some of those as well, right? What do the schemes actually look like? Looks like we have a pretty good scheme. A lot of people saying about Fire Pete Golding and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I can't say that we've seen a whole lot of bad calls. It's the technique in the calls that we got to figure out, okay? I know one thing, we just got to continue to be physical the way we were. We got to fix the offense. We're talking a whole lot of defense, but we got to fix the offensive line. We got to get a running game back. They did run more powers and different things this past week as well. I did see some of that, but it's not enough of it. So I appreciate it, JT. You got anything else that you think we need to hit on?
Yeah. Just first, it's Tuesday. So thanks everybody for joining and happy Thanksgiving coming up. And just one more reminder, this is officially the last show that will be aired on Facebook. If I can remember to do it, I'll at least post the link on Facebook for at least a little while so that people remember to find us on YouTube. But we will be streaming live exclusively on YouTube only next Tuesday going forward. So thank you all for the folks that I know follow us on Facebook that comment all the time. Clara and Craig, I see you guys are on YouTube already. So I appreciate that. Walter Moss, that's who Red Elephant is. Walter Moss is Red Elephant. He said that his Google is tied to the Red Elephant Club. So we've got him over too. And it seems that they thought that this was very informative. So maybe we'll have to do it again when something like this happens.
Do us a favor, tell everybody about this, man. I know you guys are great, but tell your friends, your buddies, other football people about it, man, because we love to continue to get better. If there's, like I said, if there's content you guys want to see, if you guys really like this, I mean, I've enjoyed this, JT. It's different. It makes the show a little bit longer and different things. But I think it's good football talk. This is real talk, and I think we can do this from time to time. This doesn't need to be an every week thing, but as things come up, maybe there's something that we can do for you guys. So share the good word. Tell everybody we're out here and we do this every Tuesday, man. It'll be good. It'll be good.
Yeah. So Justin Riley's in here on YouTube. Says great show as always. So thank you, Justin. And just one more reason to help us out on YouTube. The ad revenue so that we can get some portable mics so that we can actually do this more often without having to try to figure out how to do this this AirPod Pro thing. And frankly, I don't like moving all of this stuff that you see by my feet in and out of the rooms so that we can do this. So thank you to Justin Riley and Napoleon folks. He says great show. Hopefully you'll catch us over on YouTube, and I think we can wrap it up from there.
You know how it is. We love family. We love friends. We love Tuesday nights. And I got to get myself a beer. I'm sorry. I got to get myself some water because these lights is hot in here that Jada put up in here. You know, she's Mr. Producer, something, whatever.
Yeah. Shout out to my sister. She because I was trying to do this before they got here, trying to figure out where we were going to set up. I put a couple of cameras around. We got yellow lights like everywhere. It looked terrible. So I was like, oh, well, I know somebody who went to school for a little bit to do some lighting and among other things. But she came in and got us hooked up. So if the lighting and video quality is even remotely better than it has been in the past, you have Jada to thank for that.
Okay, well, with that, I'm going to say deuces.
Big sight, new, Hank, go, big sight. Y'all know how this shit go, you know. All eyes on me. Roll up in the club and shit.